Okay, awesome. So hey everyone, welcome to session 2 of convention prep that we are doing virtually between Region 7 and Region 5. And if you are watching the recording on YouTube, welcome in the future. Today we are going to do a panel. So we're going to have some folks who have been around SHIP for 15 or so years, some folks that are a little newer, and we're going to open up the questions to the members. I'll start with a quick introduction of myself. No slides today, so that's awesome. But I am William Gonzalez. I am RVP 7, covering Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas. Have been involved with SHIP since 2012 when I was a freshman studying industrial engineering. Did 4 internships while I was in college. Worked for a company called Rockwell Automation right out of college, and today I work for Microsoft doing sales and consulting. And when I was in college, I supported SHIP at the fundraising chair level, as a chapter president, at the regional level, and now I support at the national level as an RVP. Cindy, do you want to do an intro, and then we'll have
Sure.
our panelists?
So hello, everyone. My name is Cindy Sanchez. I am RVP for Region 5. I currently work for SLB as a digital implementation lead. I did graduate from University of Houston in 2017, but I've been with SHIP since 2011. I did cycle through a couple of different leadership positions at the chapter chapter regional levels, and I'm continuing it strong as a professional. I truly believe in the mission, and I'm here to support y'all. But we'll also move on to, let's go with Jay, because I know he's been doing some really cool things lately. So Jay, take it away.
Thank you, Cindy and William. My name is Jay Flores. I am in Region 7 now, but I'm actually calling in from Region 1. I'm doing some work out in San Jose. Started with SHIP in 2009 when I was an undergrad at the University of Wisconsin. Got my degree in mechanical engineering, started working for Rockwell Automation as well, where William used to work. And then about 4 years ago, I went off and started my own business called Invent the Change, where I work with K-12 STEM inspiration. My top brand is It's Not Magic, It's Science, or No Es Magia Ciencia. I've got the bilingual shirt on today. And just finding any and every way I can to support young Hispanics in STEM. And some of the more fun ways William wanted me to share was via American Ninja Warrior and Exatlon. I believe this will be my 15th convention. I need to confirm for sure. The only times I missed was when it was virtual, and then while I was on Exatlon because I was stranded on an island during the show. So those are the only 2 that I've missed since my first one that I attended. So happy to share any of my experiences along the way. And now I got internships with Rockwell Automation and with GE Healthcare while I was in SHIP. And then I also did recruiting for Rockwell, so I can share from both sides. And now just as a professional that goes to network and grow my business and stuff. So even from the entrepreneurship side of convention, I can share stuff from that too.
David, before you go, I'm going to make a quick comment of Jay. You said you were stranded on an island, and that island is called the Dominican Republic.
Not a random island, yeah. We were in the Dominican Republic for 3 months with no cell phone. I couldn't talk to William.
It was very upsetting. Go ahead. Sorry, David.
No worries. My name is David Reynoso. I'm a 4th-year PhD student at the University of Texas at Arlington. I did my undergrad at the University of Rochester and graduated during COVID 2020. I started in SHIP in 2016 when I was a freshman, and I've been to the conventions 2017 to 2019, and then last year. So yeah, thank you for having me.
So next time we'll have to call you Dr. David.
Hopefully.
That's pretty badass.
I'd love to hear that. So all right, we have some questions that Cindy prepared. So Cindy, I think we can just start off with this, and we'll go from there. So number 1, and I guess we can start with you, Jay, and then we'll go to David, and we'll probably have 2 or 3 of us max answer these, and then we'll keep it going.
Yeah.
What is the best advice you got for national convention prepping, whether advice you received or advice you would like to pass on to the next generation?
So for me is that it's way more than just a career fair. There's so many different opportunities in which you can get an internship. So my first convention, I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but at least I kind of listened to the upperclassmen and I uploaded my resume to the database, right? What did that lead to? I got an email from GE Healthcare before even getting to convention to set up time for an interview. So before I even flew out to that year was in Phoenix. I already had an interview set up because all I did was upload my resume. I still had my luggage because the interview she set up for that same day that I got there. So I like put it up against the side and we had an interview at a Starbucks type scenario. So just straight out the bat right away is an opportunity for you to engage with companies. But then there's the hospitality suites, there's the competitions, there's workshops, there's random professionals in the elevator that you can connect with and potentially lead to opportunities. And especially during this particular convention where it is an election year and there's a lot of fear around the economy and both parties trying to decide whether it's the end of the world or not, companies sometimes will be conservative or cautious when it comes to recruiting that time, but it doesn't mean that there's not opportunities. But what's going to happen is you're going to need to really build those relationships to unlock more of those opportunities that aren't as visible during normal times. And or let's say it is actually a worse economy, which may or may not happen, then when things get better, those people, you'll still have those connections with them. I think you guys are going to be fine this year. I think it's a lot more just fear around election than it is actual economic issues. But when it comes down to that, it's the relationships that you build outside of that career fair that are going to allow you to have the most success.
Thank you for that, Jay. Love it. David, do you want to step in or do you want Cindy to take this one?
I'll step in. I think when I was an undergrad, I really, like Jay said, focus on the career fair and really put a lot of importance on that aspect of it. But everything else provides a lot of opportunities for other types of paths that you might pursue. For example, when I was a junior, I stumbled into the grad track events that they were having at National Convention. So even if you don't find an internship, what if you find a university that you could do research for the summer, right? So there's more than just industry. There's government and there's academia. So literally, I went to a GEM fellowship at the National Convention one year, and one of the speakers there, he had a phrase and he made all of us repeat it, and it was PhD, why not me? And he made us say it, and not just like say it, but like say it with our chest. And it was, made us stand up and everything. And that really pushed me over the edge to pursue a PhD. I was able to secure some internships through the convention, but that single event really put me where I am today, right? Doing my PhD. So just keep an eye out, keep your agenda open to a lot of different paths, because I was looking at the CVET website, and there's a lot of tracks for different backgrounds and stuff like that. So yeah, book your workshops and your hospitality suites like on your calendar. Make your calendar already, and make sure that they're right for you. I remember my first year, I was in line for a certain company, and after waiting 3 whole hours, they told me, "Oh, we're not looking for people in your year level." I was a sophomore, and I feel like maybe a little bit of more research could have prevented me from losing those 3 hours. So yeah.
So everyone has to go now. You have to write down your dream company and you have to go in the mirror and you say, "Dream company, why not me?" and say it with your chest.
Yes.
And then in a couple of years, you'll be on a call like this on behalf of your company.
That's called manifestation.
And if you don't, call Dr. David. Cindy, do you want to add anything to this question on best advice that you have for a national convention?
Yeah, so whenever I was in undergrad, I started studying industrial engineering. Quickly failed out of it. I had a whole struggle bus situation. I pivoted to industrial engineering, and in doing so, I mean, my GPA was really low, right? When I was going into convention and going to career fairs, and I didn't meet the 3.0 GPA mark. The advice that I got was, you know what? You need to not just go to career fair, but kind of along the same lines as Jay and David mentioned, you need to network because networking can also give you the best opportunities. And maybe not then and there on your, if this is your first time going to convention or right then and there when you speak to that person. But if you make a good enough impression or you keep, you're consistent, you're following up, or like every convention, you go and you visit them and you talk to them and you see them, they'll start to remember your name, what you're about, what you're interested in, especially if you keep talking to them, year after year. They'll remember you and you can get potential opportunities then. So if you get a no, maybe it's just a not yet or not today, but maybe tomorrow. So that's one of the biggest things that I got that kind of stuck with me till now. So
And I'm gonna add something quick. I wasn't going to, but something you mentioned about networking and seeing people year over year. There are folks that when I was a student, they were recruiters, and now they are my peers, or I'm partnering with them at their companies because I'm volunteering with Ship National and organizing the conference. So you never know who's gonna be where. And I also have folks that they used to be the recruiters, and they have now contacted me looking for a referral or looking for advice or looking to tap into the network that they might not currently have access to. So you just never know. So highly encourage networking when you can at the convention.
Yeah.
Anyone have any other thoughts on this one? If not, we can read off question 2.
I was just gonna add to Cindy. That literally happened to me. I networked with someone from the Aerospace Corporation. I didn't get an internship that like from the convention right away, and I was kind of bummed out. So I walked out with nothing. You see all these people, like sometimes some companies got confetti with crazy stuff happening. But I sent a thank you email, and the reply I got from the email, which I sent around 2 weeks later, was, "Hey, a position just opened up in my office. Here's the requisition number. You should apply to it." I applied to it the same day. 2 days later, the application closes. And later, I find out 60 people applied in those 2 to 3 days, and I got the position through that because guess what? I met the manager in person at the convention, and I worked through there. And I don't even think, like, once they saw my name on there, it was kind of like a automatic, like, yeah, that's the one I want.
it happens. Yeah. I think we can go on. Do we want to go to the next question and hold on the questions in the chat until the end?
Yeah, we only had 3 questions, so let's go ahead and move on to our next question, and then we'll get to the question in the chat. I'm gonna write this down, Marcelo, so we have it or copy and paste and I'll write it down so we have it on the side, and we will get to your question. Don't worry. So we might have touched on this a little bit, but I'm going to ask and see if it makes you think of anything specific you'd want to share. Is there something you wish you knew before going? And think back to that first or second conference, Jay and David. Like for me, it's definitely going to be that research. And I know you guys touched on it a little bit, but like I'm quick little story. I went and I've talked to students a lot, and like, what's the worst thing that's happened to you, William? Landed my first interview with Johnson & Johnson, and one of the questions was, what's your favorite product? And I couldn't name a single Johnson & Johnson product. And my go-to is Head & Shoulders, which is not a Johnson & Johnson product. So immediately stumbled and did not land that that internship. And the crazy thing was that I had won a scholarship from them at the conference. And we had done a NELA event, won the scholarship, built really good relationships, but then did not do good in the interview. I guess they really care about the brand of their products. So
you didn't do your research. Yes.
This is not the same William that you see before you. This is a 19-year-old William. Go ahead, Jay or David, whoever wants to jump in.
Yeah, I think I had no idea the scale and size of convention, right? So I came in from a chapter that was, 10 people if we were lucky, um, showing up to meetings and stuff. So I didn't really realize how large of an organization it was and how many opportunities there would be. So then you show up. I was lucky that I had showed up with the resume thing uploaded, but aside from that, I didn't really know how to navigate the rest of the convention and how to focus. There's so many different workshops, competitions, hospitality suites, all this stuff. Plus, trying to find time to keep yourself sane and get some rest and eat food and remember to drink water, like all that kinds of stuff. So I wish I would have known to have kind of a game plan around my top few companies that I was interested in, and really target all of the things that they're doing, right? So if they have a workshop and then they have a hospitality suite, and then where's their booth, like really maximizing my plan for my dream companies, right? Because this could be the start to the rest of your engineering life and career. So I want you to go after the ones that you're most passionate about, and then you won't make that mistake that William made with not knowing the products and stuff, because these are the ones you love. I did the same thing, though. I have to be honest, not at SHIP, but at my college career fair. The first time I did, I showed up to interview with no idea. So don't do that. Have your dream companies, know all the things, show up. This ties back to what Cindy says, because then when you have that plan, then you're showing up multiple times kind of randomly. They saw you at their hospitality suite, they saw you at their workshop the next day, and they start to build that opportunity, and you get to meet different people from the company, right? Maybe one person, or let's say a panel of people from the company were at the workshop, but in the hospitality suite you get to meet people that are in different parts of the business that you may be more interested in or might have more opportunities for you. And then once you have that locked in, you can feel confident that you're doing the right things at convention, and then fill in whatever open space you do have with kind of the more uh, just kind of exploring and seeing what looks cool and what topics sound interesting to you, regardless of what the company is. Fill in the rest of that once you've really taken care of your first couple companies.
Yeah, and I'm going to highlight something you just mentioned of going to different events, talking to different people. With David's example, he didn't know who was going to be the manager and that he was going to have that job open. So it was almost like, and I don't like the phrase right place, right time. But it was almost like, hey, I did it multiple times, talked to multiple people, and because of that, it was right place, right time. So absolutely, I love the research and make that
Yeah,
game plan.
100%. I did it. Sorry, I did a competition once, and like none of the recruiters for the company that I wanted to work for were like really giving me any, like showing any interest, until finally I talked to one. And on my resume, I had even prepared my resume specifically for this company, and I had a very specific kind of target interest. And it happened to be that this last person that I talked to was at that particular plant where they do the thing that I was interested in. So she was so much more interested in me than the other people, because we had such an aligned interest that was connected directly to what she was hiring for. So again, you never know who's going to be the right one that can open the door for you.
Yeah, and I
Nice.
could jump off
Cindy
that.
or David?
Sorry, Cindy.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
Because Jay was mentioning competitions. That's something I wish I kind of knew in undergrad, is the doors that the competitions open for you, and sometimes some of them the deadline is kind of early. This year I applied for the 3-minute grad thesis. I didn't get selected, but they gave me feedback on it, and hopefully I'll get selected for next year. But there's like the academic Olympiad, cybersecurity, all of these competitions put you directly in the eyes of the recruiters, or just everyone in the convention when you compete for these things. Last year, I saw Lawrence Livermore National Lab was sponsoring the 3-minute grad thesis, and of course, I was applying there for a summer internship last summer. If I would have been in that competition, it would have been definitely an easier way to connect and network with the people there, and for them to see that you're taking that kind of extra step in preparation, right? Um, so definitely look into the competitions that you can sign up for with your chapter or by yourself. STEM research competition was another one. You could present a poster or do a talk about your research. And one other thing I wish I knew about the convention was kind of like the way you go about the career fair. For example, if you talk to the right person at a booth about your specific interests, like I'm an aerospace with a mechanical background, I'll be looking for someone in structures or non-destructive evaluation or something like that. Sometimes the lines are really long, right, for the career fair, and you can see people's badges and their names. Look them up on LinkedIn, see who does what, and then that way you know if you're in the right line, you're talking to the right person, or sometimes just go up to the person who looks the nicest, I guess. Whatever you would feel the most comfortable sharing your story with.
Perfect. Cindy, do you have anything to add, or are you good?
I think well, we can continue going. I'm trying to find some more information on some of the questions from our staff. So if you see
Okay.
me kind of like, yeah.
Yeah, no problem. I'm going to read off the next question there, and then when you have that information, we can come back to you, Cindy. So it's all building. These questions are very related to each other. So what is your strategy? I know we've talked about research, researching the companies and making sure you're ready and be aware of how large the convention is. But if you were in that position of I'm going to be looking for my role, what would your strategy be now with all the information you have? And then Jay, I know you as entrepreneur kind of have your own company, not kind of, you do have your own company. What is your strategy? Like, how do you approach convention? I know you've mentioned you've gone to 15 and you've been an entrepreneur now for at least 4 years. How are you using it? You're not even looking for an engineering job. Tell us about that too.
Yeah. So first for like the planning side, right? I don't think the app is completely ready yet, right? But there is a agenda on the website. So you can start to look at what are some of those companies that are going, what are some of the key sessions that you're interested in, just really start to highlight some of those things early on, because the closer you get, the more busy and worried you're going to be about other things like travel and getting your outfits and all that stuff. So the earlier you can, the better. And then once we come, like, let's say like the week before convention, I would search on LinkedIn for any of the key hashtags that SHIP is using, because a lot of the companies are going to be sharing that as well. And so let's say it's SHIP 2024. I'm not sure if that's going to be it, but let's say it's hashtag SHIP 2024. That's going to then show you everyone on LinkedIn that's looking for people, right? So you can, at the very least, like and maybe comment on their posts, right? If you feel really comfortable and you build a connection, then maybe you actually add that person as a connection. But start to understand who it is that's going, who's super excited about it, which companies are showing a lot of interest and feel like they're going to have a lot of positions, and then position yourself to meet them as early as possible. And then that's one extra talking point you have when you're connecting with them is, oh yeah, like I loved your post about X, Y, or Z prior to convention. I definitely wanted to come to your workshop and learn more. And that allows you to kind of break the ice a lot easier than most other people just kind of cold randomly coming up to them and talking to them.
But Jay, before you go, because I think you're about to jump into how you approach it now with your organization. So everything you just mentioned, I can see a student using that strategy, but are you using that strategy to also build connections with the companies that are there? Even now
Yes,
that yep.
I do the same thing. If there's target companies that I'm trying to partner with. So basically what I look for when I go to convention is presenting sponsors for my programs in different communities, right? So let's say I really want to bring my show to Houston next year. I'm going to be looking at, what are the big companies down there? Exxon, Bechtel, like what other companies are big in that community, but then also big supporters of SHIP. So I can draw the connections and the parallels there. And I'm looking for people that I have been engaging with on LinkedIn already that I'm going to find out if they're going or not, so that, there's some, whether they're current sponsors of mine or potentially future sponsors of mine, I can have that in-person reconnection, right? because a lot of times on social media, people are watching, they're following, they're liking, but nothing real, like that's not where the actual sale or the business relationship happens. So I've had conversations, for example, one of my biggest partners last year was Apple. And that guy from Apple had been following me forever, loved all my stuff, but it wasn't, and this was actually at SWE convention, so I can't give it to SHIP, but it would have happened at SHIP if SWE wasn't before it. We sat down at SWE and it was like, okay, we're doing it. Like, send me the proposal. And it was just because we had that opportunity to sit down for a couple minutes versus just seeing it on social media. And that actually reminds me, for those of you as well, not just following that, other, figuring out who else is putting that hashtag down, you put it down too and announce that you're going to convention and what you're interested in or what you're working on, so that other people that the algorithm is feeding SHIP stuff to will see that as well. And maybe the reverse will happen. A recruiter will be like, oh, wow, I love what you're doing too. Make sure you come to our workshop or our booth. So it's really just finding those unique opportunities to either reconnect with people that I've worked with, set the next steps for people that I've been kind of in communication with or trying to get to partner with, and then searching for other companies that I haven't had the opportunity to talk to in person yet, to then kind of build that relationship for my business.
So really quick, David, before you jump in. So something you had mentioned, Dave or Jay, about being proactive on LinkedIn. So one of the things we've been pushing our chapters in Region 7 is, hey, if you invite a company in or if you have multiple companies come in, I want you to create a LinkedIn post, tag the professionals and also tag the companies. And you don't know where that's going to reach. Because I was like, not that I read every single LinkedIn post, but I do go through my feed more or less every other day or every 3 days. And I do like to see where the different chapters are engaging, even the ones outside of my region. And now I also am getting an idea of which companies or which cities are having the impact and the engagement with SHIP, which does drive interest in like, what is that chapter doing? Should I reach out to those students? And maybe we want to partner with them as if I put on my Microsoft hat, right? So yeah, love that insight, and just wanted to highlight that. David, did you want to jump in on what's your strategy around convention?
Yeah, I have a couple. My first strategy is really coming from the perspective of me now being a grad student, and grad students can also register as professional members for SHIP. And so one of the things that I learned early on was that the convention is for you to make genuine connections with people. And what I see a lot of is people looking for an internship and talking to people for only the purpose of getting that internship. Like, don't talk to someone because you think they have something to offer. Talk to them because you want to get to know them as a person, a genuine connection. And then in that, when you show your authenticity, they'll reflect that as well. And those are usually the connections that matter the most, the ones that hit you up and think about you 3 months down the line, saying, hey, I have a position open in my office, etc. Another strategy I have is when you are at the career fair, you'll notice there's a lot of lanyard colors. You can tell based on looking at the recruiters at a specific company or government entity or school, which companies brought people in and which brought their professional members. And I think last year the red lanyards were for like non-SHIP members that were there for the companies, and then professional members had a different color. And you really get to see which companies have membership inside them and are willing enough to bring them to convention to face people who look like them, and which ones are not. And so you could use that to your advantage to say, oh, you're a professional member, how long have you been in SHIP, and kind of relate to that experience too. Let's see. Oh, and the last one was, as Jay was saying, LinkedIn, there's a lot of opportunities that show up before the convention. One of the ones I learned about recently is that a lot of recruiters post registration links well in advance for their company. It's really hard to find them, right, if you don't already know them. So what you can do is kind of either salvage for them online with the hashtags like Jay was saying, or have people that already go there find the links for you. For example, I'm about to put this link. It's for the Aerospace Corporation, and so you could either look on different companies' websites to see who's announcing, like, hey, we're going to be at this convention. Aerospace, for example, they post, we're going, register here for us to have your resume already before you even get there. A lot of companies I see, when you stand in line for so long, they take a picture and they say, did you apply online? And you say, oh, maybe yes, maybe no. So make sure you register in advance for those companies so you can submit their resume directly. I know SHEP has their database too, and they'll probably refer from that too. But it's good to have it in two sources, and apply to the internship you want, and know which position you want beforehand. There's nothing worse than going to someone and they're like, so what do you want to do? And one, you don't know. You're like, oh, I just want to work here. Like, okay. If you know exactly where you want to be, there might be someone there that they could tell you, hey, go talk to this person actually from that department or from that field. And now you have a closer connection. Apply beforehand, register in advance, submit your resumes through SHIP and through their registrations, check out the lanyards, and be authentic.
I'm going to add that if a lot of this sounds familiar, or you've heard myself or Cindy say some of this stuff, we did not rehearse with Jay or with David. So you're getting it from someone else that it is true, it is real, all of this advice that they're giving. So just be aware. Cindy, did you have anything to add, or did we want to move on to the next question?
Just really quick, I mean, everything that has been said 100%. I will say that my first convention, I was a true sophomore, and I kind of took more of the, well, let me experience convention. Of course, if I get an opportunity from this, that would be great. But I did extreme engineering. I chose to go through some of the competitions because I wanted to, explore those venues. And I had a really good time. I ended up being on the team. We won first place in 2012, and got to meet some really cool people. I got to network with Chevron. They got to see how I worked. And that was a really cool experience. And I think that was really good for my first one, being that I went as a sophomore. Now, because it was like a 24-hour competition, it did take me away from a few other opportunities like hospitality suites on the first day. And this is back when Thursday was the first day of conference. And so I kind of missed all of Thursday and part of Friday, right? So it does take away potentially from other things that you could be doing or other companies that you could be networking with. So you always want to keep that in mind. If there's a competition or something else that you really want to participate in, you have to weigh your options and your pros and cons. Like, what are you truly there to do? So yeah, keep that in mind.
100%. I'm going to jump to the next question.
Yeah.
And I think this was originally from Marcelo, and I think this is for you, Dr. David. Was the PhD route a path you felt you always wanted to pursue? What deterred you from going straight to industry right after your bachelor's? It sounds like we talked about it a little bit, but give us your 2 cents on this.
I didn't decide to do a PhD until I didn't fully commit to applying and everything until really August of my senior year. So I felt like I was behind. At the end of the day, I'm here now. So it could be at any point in your 4 years that you can be like, I wanted to go from pursuing industry to grad school. I did only internships. I had no research experience at all before graduating, besides your usual class project and whatnot. And here I am now. So there's no time. There's no specific timeline you need to prepare in advance. I would say most deadlines are in January for grad school. And another, I guess, thing that kind of hammered in my decision to grad school was COVID. I really didn't like the initial kind of. I had an internship that was work from home, and it was okay. It works for some people, but especially if it's your first experience and you're virtual, I didn't feel like that was going to be right for me, and grad school was a good way to do that. Last thing I will say is that find someone to pay for your grad school. Don't pay for grad school, and don't pay for a master's. Don't pay for a PhD. Companies can pay for your master's. Fellowships like the GEM Fellowship can pay for your master's, and most 99% of PhDs should be paid for, especially if you apply um, directly to it. You don't even need a master's to do a PhD, actually. I don't have a master's. Um, PhDs, you get a stipend and they pay your tuition and fees, especially engineering. I mean, yeah, engineering for sure. So yeah.
I love that. I'm not offering to pay because I don't have the money, but I'm going to go ahead and add, it doesn't mean that the money's just going to fall into your lap. Go look for it. Go look for the scholarships. You have to apply to the programs. So just 2 cents there. Cindy, Jay, I don't know if you have anything to add for the PhD route. I know we all, I believe, yes, we all went straight into industry after college. And I'm going to speak for myself really quick and say, I felt like I needed the break from school. Like right after graduating, I need that mental break. And I was like, I need money. And I went, right. So for me, that was it. Jay, I know you have something similar.
Yeah, I was done with school, so it wouldn't have been a good idea at the time. But I did have interest in potentially exploring an MBA, and I found some programs. I did one at Yale that was like a pre-MBA program, so it was like a 2-week crash course on what it would be like to be in the Yale MBA program. We did 1 day per course that you're required to take there. And that was like a good way. There's all kinds of other ways to kind of get some exposure. You could do summer research if you don't have an internship, and that'll give you an idea of like, hey, do I really enjoy this? Yes. Okay, then maybe I'll look at continuing on right away through grad school, or I don't know, maybe not. Then you search for internships or full time from there. So there's other ways to try to start testing the waters before you commit completely. That I think the pro and con is, if you really know what you love and what you're passionate about, and you just really enjoying what you're doing in your coursework, then I would say it makes sense to continue on, keep the momentum of having all those habits and being on campus and all that stuff. If you're not really sure, then maybe it is better to explore some other things, figure out what it is you really enjoy in industry, and then go back for it. Either way, but it's an it depends answer for everyone based on your personal interests, passions, time, fellowship opportunities, etc.
Yeah, and Cindy actually pinged me here on the side talking about in industry and figuring the right time and everything. And she reminded me of one of my many failures because I am nowhere near perfect. So I actually started a cybersecurity master's when I was in college. Or when I was in industry already, was working for 2 years, and I was like, hey, I want to get into cybersecurity. Started the master's program, was paying for it, so I didn't take David's advice and go find someone to pay for it. My company provided a small stipend, and I was covering the rest. And then I ended up not having a job, so I actually took a step back from the master's program, and now I've been looking to get back into a master's program. But overall, it was a good experience, and it gave me exposure into cybersecurity. So when I was looking for a role again, a lot of the roles I was looking at were cybersecurity, and just doing 2 semesters of that program gave me a pretty strong foundation in cybersecurity overall. And now I work in IT, where cybersecurity is one of our key pillars for our customers and for our partners. So absolutely worth it. And once I find the time, I will go back and pursue a master's. Cindy, I don't know if you have anything to add.
Not for PhD, but I am actually studying up for my PMP, which is my project management professional. There we go. And I can talk a little bit more about that afterwards, but essentially I said I don't want to go back to school because I did spend 6 years in my undergrad, and that's just 6 years way too much. So I am just going to look at getting my PMP because I do want to continue my career in project management space. So
Nice.
Yep. There's
Lots
other
of
things that you
options.
can get. Yeah, there's a lot of different options depending on what you want to achieve in your career. So I think we can jump on to the next one. I believe Anna asked, how would you approach a hospitality suite as a professional only looking to network? And I'll start just because I'm actually kind of sort of unofficially looking for other opportunities. And so not that it's not as like fierce like a student trying to look for their first job, right? But the way that I'm planning on attacking hospitality suites is going in a little bit early if I can, probably an hour early, and lining up. I know that it has been pretty rough and people start lining up way more than an hour before, but I'm confident that I can get in. I mean, there's 2 hours of hospitality suites. A lot of people just cycle through. And yeah, I'm planning on capturing at least 2 or 3 different companies each night and just trying to see what's out there. So very casual for me. I know for others, and especially for students, that's not the case. And you have to be a little more determined and like on your feet. So as a professional, that's how I'm tackling it. I don't know, William or Jay, if you guys want to jump in.
I'll add really quick, and this is good, maybe not even answer your question. As a professional, I probably wouldn't use the hospitality suites to network. I would network heavily outside of the hospitality suites. And just ask folks like, hey, what do you do at your company? Just super casual. The hospitality suites, I just don't have the patience to sit in the line for the time as a professional. So for me, that would be my strategy. Jay or David, I don't know how you guys feel.
Yeah, it's been hit or miss for me depending on the company, the year. There's so many different factors, but one of the things that you need to get good at is figuring out what they're looking for, whether that aligns with you and whether you're wasting your time or not. Like I remember one year there was, I think it was Milwaukee Tool. I really wanted to connect with them. And they were just like, I could tell they were just like trying to get rid of their swag. So I was like, okay, these people have no interest in communicating with anybody right now. They're just like throwing away all their free stuff that they don't want to ship back. This is not going to be productive for me. So I'm going to go somewhere else and use my time more wisely. So just trying to understand that, read the room, see if it seems like networking going on, or if it's just branding, or if it's just party, or whatever the hospitality suite is kind of vibe is giving, and then align yourself to the ones that you're trying to get to. I think, isn't there a professional networking session or something as well? So there's other similar hospitality suite type events that you can also look at if this year's hospitality suites are crazy.
Yeah, and I know Cindy mentioned that there are companies looking specifically for industry or experienced hires. I think the other thing that I would mention is that as professionals, we're usually have our skill set more focused in, and we might get pickier on job types, roles, locations. So I think we tend to be more strategic on how and when we network.
Yeah.
David, I don't know if you have something to add, or if you're like, hey, I'm chilling.
If you want to get to know some grad students, there's a grad networking social. If you're not in grad school, you could talk. It's still a good place to meet grad students and talk to them about how it's going for them and their research. So, and then there's an advanced career showcase. So it's like a mini career fair, but just for companies or government agencies looking for research positions. Well, they have research positions open, which could still apply to undergrad too. So yeah, check those out.
So I know we have our next question here. Can you talk about ticketed events? Are the tickets available online before arriving at the convention, or is it something you need to line up for the event? Cindy, were you able to do any research on this? If not, I'm going to give my, okay.
Yes, I have official from Chef staff. So there is going to be a box office available on Wednesday when you come in for registration, with whatever tickets they have available. That is separate from registration. I know it's news to me. I just learned it like during this call. So this is separate from registration, but you will need to go through registration and get your badge and basically get processed and checked in, and show your badge before you go into the box office. Some sponsored events will also have tickets that they'll be or some sponsors will have events that they'll distribute those tickets for at a later time, or like on their own. But officially, there is a box office, I believe, for like Star Awards, some of the luncheons. I think the STEM to Excellence luncheon. But yeah, what time is the ticket box office open? I'm assuming at the same time as registration. So I believe registration starts at 8 a.m.
It's 8 or 9. It's on the CVent
Yeah.
agenda. So take a peek at that. On Wednesday, registration will open either 8, 9, 10 at the latest, but it'll all open at the same time. Key that Cindy mentioned, get your badge first. They will likely not hand you anything until you have your badge in hand. And then I'm going to mention one more thing, and this is more of as a community. There's a lot of events where in the past folks have taken the tickets and then not showed up. And then a company paid X amount of dollars to have this event, and we have a half full room. So if you're going to get a ticket, make sure you're there. It makes SHIP as a whole look bad when we have a room half full, even though the company sponsored X amount of monies.
Or if you are planning on going, but then at some point in time things change, just make sure that you pass it through, like, hey, I have an extra ticket. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of group chats, WhatsApp chats, a whole bunch of different instant communication pathways where you can just say, hey guys, I have an extra ticket to this event. Who wants it? And there are going to be people who are going to take it. I will also say, a lot of times people are like, oh, well, can I grab 5 tickets because my 4 buddies are not here yet, but they're going to want to go? That is a no. You can only grab your ticket. So 1 ticket per person per event. So just keep that in mind. Yes.
So will everyone be allowed to enter the career fair at the same time like last conference, or is it being changed? They told us they were working on it. I don't think that we've gotten an update on what that's going to look like. Once we do have an update, the RVPs will pass the information along to the chapter presidents, and then that'll get dispersed to you guys if we get an update. But as of right now, Raja, we do not have a official update from SHIP yet. I know they're trying to work on that, and they're working on safety and what makes sense for logistics.
But this venue is a lot larger than the last venue. So we will have a lot more space this time around. Yep, 3 times the size.
All right, so we're out of questions. We asked ours. Does anyone else have any questions? We're down to the wire of the last 9 minutes. And if not, we can give everyone back a few minutes and Jay can go enjoy California.
David is putting in the work.
He did all the research before we got here. He's just copy paste from his Word or / OneNote that he's got open.
At 7:52, post this.
You can just see his LinkedIn pop up right before the meeting ends.
Okay.
All right. If no one has more questions, we will close the recording and we'll bid everyone farewell.
Make sure to check out the YouTube page, and I'll send out the link after it's available.
Ooh, okay. This is actually a question we can answer really quick. Not really quick, but give you advice. Is there a specific advice you would give to an international student who are planning to go to the convention? So kind of double downing on what David, myself, Jay had mentioned, and Cindy, research. Understand which companies do hire international students. There's a lot of information out there. You can look online. You can talk to other SHIP members who are international students and have obtained internships, full-time jobs. I know when I was at USF, like half of our chapter was international students, and essentially the seniors and the ones that have already secured internships and full-time jobs with whether that be CPT, OPT, they were mentoring the freshmen and sophomores, and I've met freshmen and sophomore international students who were able to lock in on internships and co-ops. So I do know it's possible. And I'm going to say you got to do that extra step of research and making sure, because the last thing I want to see is international student go and getting into a line for a DoD contractor that does not hire international students because they can't due to the nature of the work, et cetera, et cetera. So I'd like to avoid that. And I've met many students that are like, my dream company is X, waited in line for 3 hours just for them to tell me we don't hire international students as a rule. So yeah. I don't know if anyone else has any thoughts to add there. I guess I'll add Cummings does it take international students, and there's a lot of the folks that go work at Cummings, and the line is going to be very long for that. I guess though, if you don't have a mentor right now, I would say find a mentor who can guide you through that process.
They're a great company. They do a lot of on the spot offers. At least last year they did. I'm assuming it depends on how many they have available and stuff. And they're also one of my sponsors. So shout out to Cummins. Go work there and make them lots of money, please.
That means Jay wants every Cummings event to be full.
Oh, there we go. You were fine. Sorry.
And then really quick, Cindy had just pinged me on the side, so I will bring it up. We've shared this information. I don't know if Ship National has, but the RVPs have shared it with the chapter presidents. Boeing will not be at the convention this year. There's a lot going on at the company right now, and they have put a big pause on a lot of activities in general. All conferences and all travel is being put to a halt right now. So if that's one of your target companies, just an FYI as you do your planning, Boeing will not be there in person this year or virtually. All right. I think that's all the questions we had. So, all right, everyone, thank you for coming. Hope to see you in Anaheim. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Cindy or myself. And if you can give me a round of applause for David and Jay, even if it's a virtual emoji, we'll take it.
Thank you guys for joining us tonight.
Thank you guys for volunteering tonight.
Say hi if you run into us at convention. Good
Absolutely.
luck. Have a lot of fun. And,
I need your autograph, Jay, and a picture for my mom for Exalt
Perfect. Consider it.
See you, everyone.
Bye.